Today on Ballard's Best, we're going to Populuxe.
All right, Peter, thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super excited to make this happen again. People are only going to know because I told them that I screwed up. But this is our second round, so we're excited to learn more about the brewery and you guys and kind of everything that you've been doing here. Tell us a little bit about how you guys got started.
So we got started, it was back in 2012. I was homebrewing and getting pretty serious in that realm and thinking about moving on from that. A lot of my friends in the North Seattle Homebrew Club, my homebrewers club, they were also moving on and looking to start breweries, in going pro in that way.
Right.
So seeing their progress and watching that experience, Adam over at Rubens and Russell over at Bainbridge Island, Kevin from Northwest Peaks, a lot of folks that were sort of people that I knew at the time and was homebrewing with, seeing them go professional just encouraged me to take that same leap.
That's awesome.
And so we found a commercial space that was just a couple blocks from my house, which is great because I can just walk here.
Yeah.
And decided to give it a go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, started as a nano brewery, so that's a barrel and a half on our system. So very, very small is how we started. And we're still the smallest brewery in Ballard, as far as the hot side and our production capacity. I think everybody has at least a 15 barrel system, and even our large system here now is just 7 barrels.
Wow.
And all that is kind of tied into the fact that we were in a much smaller building. It's how we started. Our physical footprint was such that this was the biggest system we could fit over there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why we're set up the way we are, and why it's still so small. Although I enjoy brewing on a setup this size, just because it's not as much production. You're not chasing those bar tap handles. It's much more focused here,
right,
at the brewery, which allows us to be more involved in the community and spend more time here, focusing on this part of the business as opposed to
growth and chasing taps
and packaging bottles, cans, that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you had mentioned just kind of being blocks from your house. When you started thinking about opening a brewery and making it happen, was there a lot of lead time or lag time in getting started, or did you have your heart set on Ballard right away, or how did you?
No, our heart wasn't set on Ballard, but it was very difficult looking at commercial space.
Yeah.
And we were working with a commercial real estate broker trying to find a space, and they kept pushing us to Georgetown.
Okay.
And they not only kept pushing us to Georgetown, but kept pushing us to spaces that were bigger than we needed. And so trying to find that sweet spot where it was the right size and the right price and the right location, it took a long time. And we ended up not even using our broker. We found this space on Craigslist. The guy was trying to rent it off as a man cave, come put a couch in there, get away from your wife or whatever. But it was perfect for us at the time because the model that we had in mind was much more like Jim up at Foggy Noggin up in Bothell. He runs a very small nano brewery basically out of his garage.
Oh wow.
And so that was kind of the model that we had in mind at the time. And so this space over here is a perfect fit. And being just familiar with 49th Street in general too, because my wife and I would go over to Delmonico Cellars next door, the winery, and you could see the brewery from the winery. I mean, it was just being neighborhood people, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, so you could see it in Craigslist and then just literally steps out your door. Yep. Because you know the neighborhood. Oh, this could work.
Exactly. Awesome. I think that's the building.
Yeah. And you guys, though, started, I mean, we're in the bigger facility now.
Right.
Next door, it was much smaller.
Yeah.
And making that change to come over here, how did this opportunity present itself to you guys? Were you looking to expand when this came up, or how did that come together?
Well, I mean, looking to expand,
Just to get a bigger barrel system.
you always need, right. So talk to any brewer and they'll tell you that the one thing that they can never get enough of is space.
Right.
Because there's never enough.
Right.
And so we addressed some of our challenges for space in creative ways. We went and got shipping container to keep all of our dirty kegs in the shipping container, you know, any kind of pallets and cans, bottles, things like that. Dry storage, essentially.
Yeah.
But then you start running out of cold room space, and so you build another cold room, and then I was quad batching off the barrel and a half, which means brewing 4 times in a day to fill one of these 7-barrel fermenters. So it's like, okay, now we need a bigger brew house, and then once you get the bigger brew house, it's like, well, I could quad batch on the bigger brew house and fill 30 barrels, right? Like it just, all of a sudden it's like, what am I paying rent for? Oh, right, I'm in business. And then all of a sudden it builds on it like that. So we're always looking to expand. We're always looking to see, how we can grow the business in the right way that's going to benefit everybody involved here and is going to make us happy.
Yeah.
And so this opportunity presented itself, and I could see already in the old space that we had maxed out our capacity.
Right.
And in the summertime, we would just feel the crunch.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, let's give it a shot. Let's move from there to here and get a little bit bigger and see what we can do. And so we took over here in 2016.
Okay.
It was Oddvar's auto shop for years and years.
Yeah. People in Ballard will remember.
People in Ballard remember Oddvar's, yep. It was a sign shop for a little bit, and then when the sign folks left, we moved in.
Yeah.
Had to rebuild quite a bit of it, just bring everything up to.
So from 2016, when you got the space to opening, how long was that time?
It was just about 10 months.
Okay, that's not terrible.
No, not terrible. We had a contractor.
Yeah.
And then we lost the contractor. So that's really what took the time, is finding the new contractor. When we did find a new contractor, we went with Raffin. They're a well-known company. They had plenty of people.
Okay.
One of the struggles we were having with our old contractor was just getting the subs and lining them up right, because in the grand scheme of things in Seattle, in today's Seattle, this was a small job.
Yeah.
This is not a 80-unit condo complex.
Right.
This is just a brewery, right? So to me, in my head, this is like a lot of work.
Just a brewery, far more important to the community than maybe. I mean, it's a toss-up.
Yeah. So it's more fun to work on, I think, than a GNC nutrition and a dentist's office and a whatever ground floor retail happens to be.
Right. Whatever. Yeah, it's keeping them busy. But that's good. So then when did you guys originally open? So if 2016, 10 months to get this off the ground, this section, when was the original open date?
It was March, I want to say March 13th or 14th of 2013.
Okay.
So we opened on the same exact day as Peddler.
Yeah. I was like, that date sounds really, really familiar.
Yeah, and so it wasn't planned that way. It's just, when you're trying to open a brewery, there are so many things that you're waiting on, so many permits and regulations and your licensing, and just everything has to fall into place. And I didn't know when that would happen. I think the last piece of the puzzle that fell into place was King County Health Department.
Yeah.
So we got that sign off, and then it was, okay, opening day is Saturday.
Yeah.
And then I was looking online, and Peddler was like, opening day is Saturday. so okay.
Well, hey, it's part of the community. Right?
Yeah.
That's good. So now, one of the things that last time we had spoke about, and it didn't cross my mind until you had said it, I'd never thought about breweries in this way, but you've got this huge space in a neighborhood that, there's a couple of townhouses here, they don't really have any, there's more condos and apartment buildings. How have you seen the advantage of going from, or just a sense of community, going from your smaller space, which you had a smaller patio, to this larger space with this big beer garden? I mean, it's really a large space.
It really does help, and it's interesting because, you know, having lived in this neighborhood for so long, I've seen it change.
Right.
You know, we moved into this part of Ballard in 2001.
Okay.
We were living up by the high school since '96.
Wow.
So we've been here for 20 years, something,
Right.
23 years, which is crazy. But seeing how the neighborhood's changed, how the city's changed, as the density increases in Ballard, you've got more and more people living here who essentially aren't living here the way that my wife and I were when we moved here in '96, when everybody had single family homes and everybody had a backyard, and you know, that outdoor space wasn't at a premium.
Right.
I feel like as the neighborhood's changed, Seattleites have always loved to be able to sit outdoors.
Yes. Sun comes out only so often.
Right, exactly.
Gotta get there.
But I think that sense of urgency has just increased as people have sort of moved into condos and apartments, and that outdoor space has started to shrink, though, so that our outdoor spaces that we share as a community become more valuable, and that's not just our parks and playgrounds and things. It's the breweries like this with large beer gardens.
Yeah.
The value there becomes much more real because you can't get it at home.
Yeah.
And so one of the nice things about the brewery is that folks who come here to do that, to sit outside, to sit in the sun and have their kids run around and come play cornhole and just have a beer outside sitting at a picnic table. Those are folks that maybe don't live on my block. I'm not going to see them all the time, but they're here in this community, and so it's great for me because I get to meet them here at the brewery.
Yeah, I think it's really great because it's so funny that when you had mentioned it, I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought of it, but I intuitively do that, right? I'm like, oh, the sun's out, we should go to a beer, you know what I mean? Like we should have that, and go out and be a part of that. And we used to joke, and it's like a reoccurring joke, weather changes lives, right? So when the sun's out, you're like, how can I take as much advantage of this as possible?
Right.
And a lot of times that means having a beer in the sun.
Yeah. And even then, just, it's nice because it's a low-key destination where you walk through the neighborhood to get there. So it connects people in that way, and that, they're experiencing the community, viscerally right in front of them because they're walking through it, and then coming here, hanging out with everybody.
Yeah, and maybe even socializing with some people you haven't met before.
Exactly.
So, what I noticed is that the old space, it looks like you're doing events there, and I know you guys do. You were talking about the Home Brewers Association, and I'm probably saying the name wrong, but the group that you used to belong to, still doing events with those folks. What other stuff, like community-wise, because breweries are such a great place to build and foster a community, and being in Ballard is, it's a city within a city, right? And so there's a lot of stuff going on here. What could people expect to find you guys doing? Like, what other stuff are you guys doing with community-wise?
Well, we do a lot of stuff. We work with, nonprofits in the community. We do nonprofits Tuesdays. We
cool.
We'll host nonprofits, and we'll do dollar a pint goes to the nonprofit. We try to raise awareness for the nonprofits that way too. People can come in, set up tables, and get that information out there.
Right.
And there's quite a few that we work with. We're doing the Ballard Winter Beer Fest is going to be down at Hales Palladium. That's going to bring all the breweries together, and that benefits Bellwether Housing. So that's going to be a nice charitable event that we're doing then. That's coming up, and I'm just looking at the poster right here because
I was thinking to myself, I got to write that one down too.
November, does that say 2nd?
Oh
I
man,
can't quite read
I
it.
can't see it. You're better than me.
it's November. But we're doing the Finney Neighborhood Association, I believe that's on the 14th.
Okay.
That's there. You know, they do winter and summer beer tastes.
Okay.
And again, that's a nonprofit event that all the proceeds there go to benefit the P&A. And we do that every year.
Nice.
So there's a lot of things that we try to do as far as the community. We try to make sure that it stays local.
Right.
You know, either local Ballard folks involved in national nonprofits or local nonprofits based right out here in
Right.
Seattle. And so we try to stay focused that way. Yeah, and we do everything we can to sort of generate that sense of community and involve folks that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that when you have such a space like this and you have a community like Ballard that you're talking about, like walking through and being connected that way, that little bit more really brings people in, and it's it's their neighborhood, it's their city, and connecting with those folks who are doing things that benefit it only benefit you for being a part of it, right? As a person, as somebody in the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, we one of the other things that we try and focus on here is showcasing local artists.
Oh,
so,
yeah, okay.
You know, that's another thing that we do. You know, the brewery itself, it's kind of a big white box.
Yeah.
So it really helps us to have rotating artists, and so every month we'll feature a new artist that can come in and hang. And we've got Keith right now, who's hung in the walls here, and
That's awesome.
yeah, his stuff's amazing. But we've had, you know, Eli Wolf in here, and Henry, and a lot of the you know,
nice.
sort of real local artists will do stuff here in the walls
Yeah.
for us. So, yeah.
That reminds me, because I didn't, with the name like Populuxe, and a lot of times breweries spend some time trying to figure out who their identity is and what there's so much that goes in. It's not just, it's more than, like, you want to make great beer, but then you also have this sense of identity, right? And so tell us a little bit about how you came up with the name. Did you just know, like, inherently that was it and that's the only choice there was, or did you go through a process to kind of figure out what that was going to look like?
So brand identity is not my strong suit. I was not a frustrated marketing director, you know, amateur marketing director looking to go pro. I was a brewer, looking to make beer.
Right.
And so, you know, it wasn't like I had the whole thing worked out way ahead of time. So I knew that I wanted to open a brewery. I knew that I wanted to, you know, transition into running my own small business. I felt like I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I knew that this is what I wanted to do. And so once you know that, I think that always comes first. It's not like, oh, I have a great brand and a great name. I just, what am I going to make? Shoes or cars or you know? It just doesn't work that way. So we started looking around at, you know, Seattle and Seattle things and the history of Seattle. And I landed on the World's Fair, which, you know, when the whole design aesthetic there is all mid-century modern. I mean, you see it in the Space Needle, and you see it in you know, the whole fairgrounds there. It's all done basically mid-60s, you know, retro-futuristic kind of design aesthetic. Even the monorail is, you know, this sort of futuristic. In the future, we'll have monorails. So I really like that, and it really appealed to me, and so that's where Populuxe comes from. So it's another name for that Googie style architecture. You know, being born and raised on the East Coast, we had, you know, connected brick 3-story townhomes, right, from the 1800s. You know, it just, we didn't have the kind of newer, more, you know, fresher mid-century feel that the architecture out here has, and you see it really everywhere. You know, Boeing and their logo, that swoosh, it's just that feel that of frontier and you know, modernism that is just sort of ingrained in Seattle. Is what I wanted to highlight, and so even the the original Denny's, which has of course been torn down. There's 5 guys there now. That Denny's, you know, they had tried to get it designated as an architectural masterpiece
Monument,
because
yeah.
it was a good example of Googie style architecture.
Right.
And so another name for that Googie style is Populuxe.
Yeah.
And it's popular and deluxe. Put together, yeah. And so it's a design aesthetic that I really like, and it helps to tie us to the place.
Yeah, it screams Northwest. People might not recognize that.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
so, but you absolutely, the monorail, the Space Needle, the whole World's Fair was, you know, about the future and that design. Once you hear it though, I don't think you can't see it. Like now they'll always see it because now they're like, oh, that's what that is, and it'll start popping up. You'll look at a mid-century modern house or a Stark modern house or a Northwest contemporary, and they all share that kind of future vibe to them, right?
Yeah. What's the name of the community up here on Crown Hill?
Olympic Manor?
What's that?
Olympic Manor.
Olympic Manor,
with
right?
the Christmas lights.
All
They do the Christmas lights every
exactly.
year.
Yeah. So a lot of those houses up in Olympic Manor, they're
Yep.
they're just that.
Yep.
And so, that's kind of what we were trying to tie it into.
Super fun.
Yeah.
So I know this is, like I say, I'm admitting guilt because I screwed up. It's our second time putting this together, and I can't remember what we talked about and what we didn't talk about this go around. So is there anything that I should have asked and didn't, or stuff that we thought we were going to cover and didn't get to? Anything you can think of?
I don't know. It's all sort of jumbled up in my head too.
I know.
No, I don't think so. Hopefully I've said enough. Just upcoming events.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've got the winter beer taste coming up at the Hales Palladium. That's going to be a fun time. All the breweries are coming together. All the Ballard breweries.
Right.
To do that. Go to the P&A. You can buy tickets now for the P&A's winter taste beer taste. We've got our dark beer day coming up December 21st.
Awesome.
So that's the shortest day of the year. So we're just going to swap all the taps out for nothing but dark beer.
I'm stoked for that.
So that should be awesome. That should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Trivia every Monday night is a blast.
Okay.
Come on down for pop trivia.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always things going on. So you can always just check out.
It's kind of funny how it's an event. You're like an event planner, right? Like
it really is. Yeah. You live and die by the calendar because. Yeah, if I wake up every day and look at the calendar to figure out what I'm supposed to do today.
What's going in the mash tun? What's the event for the evening?
Yeah, when do I have to get things wrapped up? When do I have to get down there? So
awesome. Well, I super appreciate you making time for us.
Yeah, thank you.
Couldn't thank you enough.
Yeah, it's good talking.
Yeah, you too.
Cheers.